Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 120 of the MTB Podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Cyclery. I am Jared, the man with the olive oil voice.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Liam.
Olive oil voice. In this episode, we will discuss our incredible bucket list trip to the Dolomites in Italy, where Jared was given the nickname the man with the olive oil voice. Mm-hmm. We're going to also talk about Liam's new custom-painted Revel Ranger, the current state of the bicycle industry, and of course, listener questions ranging from cross-training techniques to pros and cons of high-pivot bikes and everything in between.
Everything in between.
So, Mr. Olive Oil Voice,
Can we
talk about something?
Can we fit everything in between within an hour podcast?
You know, we're going to do our best.
Okay. We're going to do our best.
Everything we possibly can fit in between. Say something. Something.
We flew into Venice, Italy. We drove 3 hours north into the Dolomites. It's a portion, I guess the eastern portion of the Swiss/Italian Alps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And unbelievably dramatic scenery and mountains and rocks and cliffs and jaggedy rocks on more rocks. And wow.
Even bigger rocks.
I had no idea.
And the most insane lift network.
Yeah.
Cable car network.
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
There's
I
just
didn't know
all
something
of
like
these
that
valleys and
existed.
canyons and lifts and cable cars and gondolas all connected. It's unbelievable.
Truly.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
It is paradise.
Breathtaking. Stunning.
So we went out there with All Mountain Rides, which is a mountain bike tour company. Let's see, who runs it? Phil Borman. So Phil Borman, pre-pandemic, he ran New Zealand mountain biking, and I did that trip with him in December of 2019, which was amazing. And then I had full faith that he could execute on another epic trip. And he did, and it was Italy in the Dolomites. He was living there for, I think, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think he said 3 years in Cortina.
Yeah, doing a lot of consulting with different tour companies out there and stuff, and that's when he came up with the idea for the mountain bike trip there. And wow, that went off amazing. So he toured us around along with his partner tour guide, Marco Besso.
Yes.
Is that how you say Marco's last name?
Basso?
No clue.
Bassot?
Basso?
No clue.
Besso?
I think I saw some guy going like, Basso! He's a celebrity.
He's a celebrity, local legend. He's lived in the small town of Corvara his entire life, runs a hotel there. Mm-hmm. And we went on so many local, hidden, weird things. A few times he goes, "We're going on a farmer's land and they might yell at you. Just ride fast."
You don't have to be the fastest. You just don't want to be the slowest.
Nope.
Man, he goes, did so much cool stuff.
This rancher always stops me. I think he'll be extra pissed when I have 15 people to me.
Oh man, yeah. We had a decent sized group, really good riders, really good group that meshes well. These trips, there's always the little bit of a wild card: are people going to like each other and get along and all ride at a relatively similar speed so we can all have fun together? And it all worked perfectly, which was really cool.
Sure did.
And we didn't have to do much climbing. We did pretty minimal climbing we were putting in days doing well over 20, 25 miles with like 1,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah.
And 10 to 13,000 feet of descending.
Yeah.
Unreal.
I think some of the days were even 500 feet of climbing and 13,000 feet of descending.
Yeah. Not even a noticeable amount of climbing.
Yeah. I think the first day was the biggest day at 2,000 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was kind of the break-in tour kind of, feel out ride, shake out ride. So, yeah.
Yeah, what an incredible place. I would highly recommend it for a mountain bike trip. It's probably incredible in the winter, too.
Totally.
I can't even imagine, although it would be wild to be up there if that place was covered in snow.
So cool.
Super windy roads, unbelievable scenery, some of the most beautiful portions of the world I've ever seen in my life, and just a lot of stuff to do, and obviously endless amounts of killer single track and riding back there. So
agreed. What was your favorite?
Good place to take a vacation.
What was your favorite riding portion? I know it's pretty hard. That's a hard question. Because, we rode obviously some purpose-built mountain bike trails, some kind of hiking type trails that were also
weird, janky,
incredibly
off the grid trails.
There was just a little mix of everything.
I really liked, was it called? Well, there was that one EWS trail.
Tutti Frutti.
Or the other one, Infinity.
I thought Infinity was pretty cool. Infinity Animal House. I like that.
And Lower Animal House was sick.
Yeah.
in
Everything in Val di Faso was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had the huge, well, it's not called EWS anymore, but when it was called EWS, it was out there. And so there's a lot
EDR.
of... EDR.
EDR.
does that even mean?
You can just Enduro, but
It's
they
like
also call
Enduro
it Enduro
World
World Cup, but I don't see how they get
Man,
D and
the
R
UCI and
from
racing
World
this
Cup?
year, a lot of people are unhappy about the format changes, name changes, rule changes.
Yeah.
Oh, glad I'm not the UCI.
Yeah, glad we're not a racing podcast.
Glad we're not racing.
It's like a perfect representation of what, like, you know, kind of like a diplomatic or like autocratic, I guess, like this higher body of people that are just totally dissociated from what's actually happening, like what the riders are saying and like what the fans are saying. Like there's just so much disconnection between the governing body
like it for sure
and the people who are actually like boots on the ground.
Yep.
It's like, how is there such a big disconnect?
Is the UCI as despised in the road cycling side of things? Do you know?
Very similarly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they don't love them, and like they can never enforce rules. Like they pretty much only enforce like a rule in a race is if a crash happens, and usually an injury from a crash. So like there's some guy basically tried to move up on the road on the side of the road.
Oh, that was
this year.
Funny,
it went
dude.
Super viral.
Shouldn't say that's funny because it was not funny, but
crashed
it was
out like
funny.
the whole field.
And he crashed out the entire field. He basically went through
And
like
didn't crash himself.
a grass
and then looks
dip.
back like, oh man, I knocked over 100 people.
But the thing is, people do that in these classic style races in Belgium all the time. It just happened to be a little bit more bunched up at that time, and it happened to cause a massive...
It was obviously an accident.
massive pile up.
And it was on video.
And it was at the front of the race on video, right? Like,
perfectly on video.
And so they enforced a suspension. Or when there's a sprint line deviation in, the final of a Tour de France stage and someone crashes, they enforce the rule. This year, Jasper Philipsen deviated out of like 3 out of his 5 sprint wins. And they were like, nope, clean. No one crashed. So, no one really loves the UCI. I don't think anywhere. Like, I don't think UCI has ever loved.
No.
Yeah, not that I've ever heard of
So
in
they
my
just
whole
enforce
life.
it when they feel like it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But regardless.
Yeah, that was a hard tangent off of Italy.
back when there was the Enduro World Series, formerly Enduro World Series.
Yeah.
They'd built these trails. Those trails, I guess, were already there, but they raced these trails, and they're pretty iconic. Just super well built mountain bike trails.
And they did
Rocky,
race them this
Rudy.
year in the EDR.
Oh, they did. Okay, cool. So getting to ride that stuff was awesome, and it was just such good, well built mountain bike trails.
So good.
Made for mountain bikes. Really cool. Technically challenging. A lot of line choice. I really enjoyed all that. I also really enjoyed. I think it was called W, which was a nothing special, just
like
random
intermediate
fun
flow trail kind of
flow trail, but it was just fun riding that
Super
in a
fun.
huge train with everyone. And then Matt crashed in front of me. There's like a big S turn, and you can basically go off of one of the berms and gap to the next berm, and he's on the lower berm and he's looking up. He's like, oh, I saw that jump and now I'm below. He's looking at the jump and then crashes while he's looking at the jump right in front of me. I was like, what happened? He's like, I was looking at the jump. I was like, you're riding a berm. Don't look anywhere else.
Day before he
so funny.
managed to crash following Jared and I, and he broke his brake lever and his dropper post remote.
On different sides.
On different sides, and he's not sure how he broke the right brake lever and the left dropper post remote at the same time.
Everyone's heard about Matt on this podcast. He runs the B Team, which is an amateur enduro race team on the East Coast of the U.S., and he was on this trip, and he took a number of falls. He's probably going to be like, come on, we're talking about that. But, I don't know.
Hey, we're giving the B team some press, though.
The B team was represented by Matt on this trip, and, he did it. Also, his rival team, I guess you call it rival team, Fire MTB, which is run by Shelly, which is a female racing team. She was there with her husband having an amazing time. So hearing them banter back and forth about racing was pretty funny.
Oh, it was great.
It was a lot of good people and good fun on that trip. So, and a number of crashes, but nobody got hurt.
Yep,
that's true.
Just minor stuff, which is good because some of that train was pretty brutal.
Totally.
Did you crash?
No.
Did you crash?
I just crashed the once.
The tree.
On the secret loamer.
Dude.
That's like kind of a crash. You just couldn't really turn.
Yeah. I mean, front wheel slid on. It was all like pine needles and like super loose.
Yeah.
There's no grip. But I couldn't even stop. Couldn't change direction.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, there's definitely some seriously challenging, gnarly,
So
high
steep.
skill level steep
There's some
stuff out
really steep
Yeah.
stuff.
The
there. And then there's bike park stuff. And
Yeah.
closest I
Yeah,
got to
it's
crashing
cool.
was filming cows
Oh, yeah.
One
with
hand.
my right hand holding the front brake down a sketchy ass fire road. Jeff was behind me and was like, "Oh God, Willie, what are you
I
doing?"
was just thinking of that influencers in the wild Instagram account. It's like gotta get it on Instagram, and you're gonna just sack yourself on this brutally rock covered fire road just to film
nasty.
some cows. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was pretty funny.
What about you, Liam? What was your favorite riding portion?
I got two. I liked, I like Fast and Fassa, or Fassa and Fast,
Yeah,
or
Fassa and Furious.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That show's sick.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Santa Cruz. It was pretty fun. And then 999 was
Yeah.
probably my favorite trail as far as like shredding goes.
Yeah.
But I think experience of riding bikes, riding down from the Refugio Rosetta, which was like this moonscape. You're descending
yeah, that was cool.
over 1,000
Yeah.
feet at least, probably like 2,000 or 3,000 feet.
The Pala de San Martin.
Yeah. On this moonscape. Like
Those are the
literally
craziest.
some
Yeah, way above.
once
tree
you get a
line.
little bit further down, you get some shrubbery, but like it's way above tree line. It's just rocks and moonscape, and you're basically just like flying on
Yeah.
the moon. And it was a super cool experience. Like not necessarily the sickest shredding, but like I've never ridden my bike on that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
I don't know where you ever can really. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
That's
That was really cool.
yeah. So that was, and just that whole day was sick. Like
Yeah.
start from the top, and you went all the way down to the valley. It was a long day just for basically one main descent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
you can take cable cars up. We started that about 10,000 feet, right? And then went all
think
the way
so,
down
yeah.
to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible the rides you can link together out there. So, highly recommend it if a big Italian mountain bike adventure is on your radar. It should be.
It should be.
It should be.
That was a bucket list trip for sure. And yeah, man, the food, the scenery, the trails.
Yeah, it was amazing. There's also just a lot of other stuff to do there as well. So,
Totally.
Yeah, kind of infinite.
Yeah. A lot
things.
of the guy riders brought their wives that just, had their own days, fun, hiking and exploring.
Yeah, there's a
and
ton of
eating
cool
food.
hiking and exploring and museums and all sorts of good stuff up there. So
Yep.
A refugio at the top of every mountain.
Just
so you can go
yeah.
relax and eat and drink a beer or a spritz if that's more your flavor.
Yep. Europe is
Aperol
luxury, man.
spritz.
It's so cool.
It's very luxury.
Yeah.
Scott Galloway says America's the best place to make money and Europe's the best place to spend it.
He's absolutely right about
And I
that.
think he's right.
Yeah.
I think he's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
that's pretty good.
Some things they do there are just so well thought out.
Yeah.
And
It's just everything's aesthetically pleasing and well maintained and artsy. And
They also had a huge head start, man.
yeah. That's true.
They've been doing this a lot longer than the
Yeah.
US. We were in buildings that were older than the entire
yeah.
United States of America. So.
Yeah, true.
True. Yeah.
Speaking of spending money, how about your new Ranger, bruh?
I didn't spend
there
any
you
money
go.
on it.
Get out of here.
I didn't spend any money.
Yep, I'm building a new Revel Ranger V2.
Sold
that
the
I
Yeti SB120.
sold the frame and fork, did a part swap, swapped out a few other bits and pieces. And yeah, building it up. Got it custom painted by Technar.
Technar.
Hydro dip.
Yeah, I had it hydro dipped, white, gray, and black. And I think it came out insane, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks a lot
really
better
good.
in person than in photos. Photos are just hard to see the
Yeah,
whole
it looks crazy
reality
in
of the
photos,
thing.
right? Like it kind of
Yeah.
overwhelming almost. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's super cool. It looks like marble, and it's I'm very stoked on it. I've never had a custom painted frame myself, so figured why not. And yeah, I'm stoked. Got a few little bits and pieces. I got the new SID suspension on it, front and rear, so that'd be cool to ride. I have some new wheels that I can talk about in a month or so, or the next podcast, which will be cool to ride. So yeah,
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, it'll be cool. So I just
Transmission.
weighed it. Yeah, transmission. I just weighed it. 27 flat with cages, pedals, all that. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty good. How much lighter is the new SID stuff from the old stuff?
a little bit. I don't know. I need to
Not much,
reweigh
right?
your
It's
bike
like
though.
a tiny bit.
About
feel
the
like-
same as a baguette. Maybe a ciabatta roll.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's even that much lighter.
They should start measuring things in food items. That's all I'm saying.
That's not, I mean.
Like our new Sid is...
Don't they say that Americans will measure stuff in anything but a
logical system.
Biological measurement?
Like this dog-sized pothole.
Or this, this sinkhole can fit, 3 fire trucks or something like that.
10 Toyota Camrys.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, totally.
Man, I love my Ranger. That's such a fun bike. I realized on this Italy trip how little I've ridden an enduro bike all year. Pretty much just rode that Banshee on the Whistler trip and then on this trip, and otherwise I just ride that Ranger.
Yeah.
It's just such a fun, good, all-around mountain bike.
Well, and just like, if you're kind of riding from the front door where we live, like there's no point to ride anything but basically a Ranger or SB120 style bike, short travel. Fun bike. They're awesome around here. I haven't had one since I got back from Downeyville. I basically took apart that bike, so it's been almost 2 months now. It has been 2 months basically. So, and I've just been riding my Rail 29 or the road gravel bike, and I'm kind of itching just to do some XC rides and get some efficiency back in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, those 120 mil travel 29ers of various brands, like that bike has really come a long way with geo and suspension, and it's worked so good for so many things. So,
yeah. I miss having a short travel 29er.
Yeah.
It's just such a fun bike.
Fun, fast. What about your hardtail? Do you still have that?
Oh, yeah, I have my hardtail.
You do?
It still doesn't,
Yeah, it's not the same.
scratch the same itch,
Yeah.
You can literally have every
I'm sure you'll swap it out like all your other underwear soon enough.
I don't know, man. I don't
this
think
bike for a month, and now I'm going to swap this out.
I love the hardtail, man. It scratches.
How are the bike packing adventures coming along?
Particular itch. It's actually getting right into beautiful bike packing season, and I was going to invite you along, but I don't know if I'm going to invite you anymore because you're throwing shade right now, and I don't like it.
I think Jared got some. He was all saying he's going to do all these bike packing trips, and then
it turns out
got around that people were saying he wasn't going to do it, and it's been a little while, and you haven't gone on one yet.
I might have thrown $10 down on that.
You got to bet on it. Hey, I'm not participating in the bet, okay?
Yeah.
I just laughed at the...
It's funny. You guys talk how there's like an expiration date. Like, oh my God, if I don't go bike packing by the end of September, I'm never going to do it.
The expiration date is you selling that bike, which you're destined to do.
Never.
You should have never said that on the record, dude.
Never going to sell it.
Never going to sell it.
Everything's for sale, baby.
I'm going to get buried with that bike.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
On record now.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting buried with bikes...
Oh!
Would you like to hear the state of the bicycle industry?
I guess.
Bum, bum, bum.
I don't know how in tune people are with the bike industry. I think at one point there was a lot of random people on YouTube making videos about it and stuff. We talked about it a little bit on the podcast at some point.
Very clickbaity YouTube videos. Oh my God, the bike industry is in turmoil.
The bike industry is in turmoil, which, to some extent was maybe true. It's true.
It's true. Everybody run.
The latest, which you've probably already heard, or maybe not, depending on how in tune you are with this stuff, the bike industry boomed during the pandemic. So many more brands than I had anticipated, over-ordered, over-manufactured, and just over-forecasted. Like
distributors.
80% of the brands.
And distributors, brands, retailers, everybody. And that's now resulted in, the demand completely normalized, went straight back to pre-pandemic levels. And now everyone has way too much product and everything's on sale. And if inflation was measured in the bike industry, it would be to the floor again. So it's a bit of a mess. Now is definitely the year to buy a bike. 100%.
Yeah.
Every bike you can think of and every
there.
pair of shoes and like you name it, it's on sale. We have a ton of stuff on sale, way more than we ever have in history, which is unfortunate because it's just major margin deterioration and making it really hard to run a profitable business that survives. But, that's my problem, not yours. But listening to the podcast and you're in the market for a bike, now is the time. We're wheeling and dealing bikes. Everybody is. It's just crazy. So the bike industry is in a bit of a shenanigans of a situation right now.
No, situation?
Shenanigans of a situation.
There's a shitstorm brewing, Randy.
Yeah. So, word of advice: my economic forecast of the bike industry is that it will certainly clear up coming into next season, i.e., summer of 2024. So, if you are planning on getting a bike, or really anything, especially the more expensive, now would be a fantastic time to do it. Because next year inventory levels won't be as bad, and people won't be in such dire straits hawking things for so cheap. So.
Hawking them up. Want a hakalugi.
Yeah.
Want a hakalugi.
What?
Isn't that from Finding Nemo?
Yeah. Want a hakalugi.
The first one or the second one?
First one.
First one.
I haven't seen it in ages. I'm gonna have to
Ibis had a bike called the Haka, and I think it was short for
Isn't that Ibis?
hakaluga. Yeah. So
Isn't that like their gravel bike or something like that?
I think that
They had a bike or have a bike?
maybe. Yes.
They do.
I'm
They
not-
still. Oh,
I'm not
you.
su-
I thought you said you had one.
No, Ibis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ibis.
Not super up to date on Ibis's line.
Yeah. Well, that's the state of the bike industry.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it. That's that.
Bum.
Let's answer one quick listener question before we hop into the best legitimate advertisement yet.
Let's do it. Listener question number 1. When it's time to degrease and to generally scrub your drivetrain, there is a point in time where you need to add a bit of water to rinse all the contaminants and solution away from said drivetrain. My question is, once this is done, what is the best way to eliminate all the water from the nooks and crannies of said drivetrain? It's also bike in general, to keep things from rusting.
Air compressor.
Let me finish.
Dude, you went too fast, Jeff.
I've heard people mention compressed air, Jeff, but to me that is just going to potentially drive that water deeper into things like the cassette, bearings, possibly put pressure on seals and O-rings that may negatively affect them. Would something like WD-40 work well in lieu of compressed air? If so, do you simply spray it with WD-40, let it dry completely, and then lube your chain? It's got a point there. But
yes and no. Good degreaser is slightly alcohol based, and it often will evaporate. So you degrease your chain with some water and some degreaser if you really need it. But I also am on the side of I don't use degreaser unless it's needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not really that necessary unless you already incorrectly lubed your chain to begin with.
I am a fan of degreasing the stock lube of a chain for my sake. Jeff likes it on because he likes inefficiency yet a quiet drivetrain.
So quiet.
It's so quiet, but it's so inefficient.
The stock grease.
Yeah.
It's not even lube, it's grease.
It's literally shipping
grease that comes
shipping
on
grease so it
chains.
doesn't rust and
It makes the chain
transport.
so quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
then
like
you
it
have
for
to degrease
vaporized,
everything
too.
after that and then use a proper lube.
Yeah.
But I don't actually use degreaser that much. And if you use a dry lube and you use it properly, you really shouldn't need that much. But say I do need it, or I'm cleaning my bike. I did wash my bike today. Use a little bit of more like dish soap on kind of chain and cassette just to get some stuff off. I use compressed air to blow everything out. And I don't point it directly at the hub. I usually point it in between basically the two pulley wheels on the derailleur and point it directly at the chain links.
The links, yeah.
And the what do you call them? The rollers.
Yeah, I do that too.
Compressed air is exactly like compressed water, i.e. pressure washer hose, high pressure. You just can't point it directly at something that needs to be sealed. So don't make that mistake with water or air. So just go easy.
Yeah.
Don't blast bearings and seals and O-rings and things like that with water or air. Just go light with that stuff and you're not going to damage that
If you're trying to get everything out of the rollers in your chain, you can blast it with that and then re-lube it very well.
Yeah, also not recommended to use a air compressor on any brake parts, right? Because there's machine oil technically in that air and it's not like pure air.
Yeah.
You can risk it for the brisket.
Oh, don't get me started on brisket.
You can do it a little light, like, you know, get some stuff out of there. I wouldn't force it in there for a long time, but you know.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes those air compressor tanks can get a little condensation and stuff
that as
inside
well.
the tank and stuff like that.
Have some water in there.
Pretty marginal.
But I would not add WD-40 to anything on my bike ever, personally.
Yeah, WD-40. At least
especially-
the original WD-40. WD-40 as a brand is now like
that's a-
licensed. They make all these different products, but the OG WD-40 formula should not touch a bicycle.
And it's aerosol, so it can spray and your chains near your rotors and contamination.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yep, good degreaser, good chain lube, and a good process is your friend.
Bada bing, bada boom.
A little bit of being gentle with all these things helps a bike.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of being gentle, I think it's time for an ad.
Perfect.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Introducing Mike's magical mix of ketones and kegels.
Want a boost in your step and strength down below? Mike's got secret, folks. Come on, let's go.
Do your energy levels wobble, wane, or waver? Pop Mike's ketone supplements for flavor and favor. Brain fog a menace? Life seeming quite bleak? Take a ketone from Mike and reach your brain's peak. But wait, there's more. This isn't just about that mental might. Mike's also got Kegel courses to set things down there just right. For strength control and the pelvic floor oh so tight, Mike's Kegel classes are truly out of sight.
Special offer. Buy a bottle of ketones and get Kegel courses for free. Mike's special deal, as whimsical as can be.
And now, back to the show.
And
Jared, the man with the olive oil voice.
And we're back.
Read this next question.
I sure will. On the last episode, I heard Jared has been riding a Druid V2 by Forbidden, and it got me wondering. First, what are the ups and downs of high pivot witchcraft? And B, I ride Bellingham 2 to 4 days a week, and I'm in the market for a new frame, so I'm looking for recommendations. So far, I'm considering a Carbon Patrol or Insurgent. Thoughts? Well, I would say you should also consider a Druid V2 because it's awesome. Ups and downs of high pivot witchcraft. In my experience, there is only really two very minor downsides. One of which is the very marginal amount of efficiency loss with the idler pulley, which is super marginal. And after riding the bike for a little while, I don't even notice it anymore.
Yeah, and you're talking, because you rode that Deviate as well. Which Deviate did you ride? Highlander?
Claymore.
Or
Claymore.
That's the one you
Claymore.
rode more often?
Yeah.
Yeah, I rode the Claymore.
And now you're on the Forbidden Druid V2.
Yes.
Both high pivot bikes.
Yep. The only other thing I noticed after going from my Yeti SB140 to the Druid was it wasn't quite as poppy jumping off of rocks and stuff on the trail routes, but after riding it for a little bit longer now, I've gotten more used to it and it feels great. Just as good. So
that's kind of the nature of a high pivot in general is
right.
It's going to eat up bumps more than it's going to be poppy and kind of hit that stuff. But the Forbidden team riders seem to not have an issue with that as they throw in big 360s and all kinds of crazy
Just
stuff
go to
on them.
Forbidden's Instagram and be like, no, those bikes can do everything I can do and then 9,000 times more.
Yeah.
I'll be just fine.
Yeah.
So, dude, you were riding that bike so good in Italy, following you on some of those trails. It just looked like it was hovering and floating, and I was just really envious. And I was like, I want that bike.
Thank you.
It's like, I like that bike.
I appreciate that
Jeff
compliment.
literally was like, I want that.
It was quiet and it just floated, and I was just so impressed. I was like, wow, that bike looks... Watching that bike riding behind you, I was, wow, that's a freaking nice bike.
It is
thing's
sick.
Working really good.
I love it.
It's cool to see.
Yeah, and on the extra pulley wheel inefficiency that causes, it's pretty marginal if you have a clean chain set up. Like having someone with a gunked up, nasty chain is going to cause more drag than adding that one wheel if everything's running clean and
yeah.
So
the only time I ever really noticed it was when it was brand new and you were talking about with the factory grease.
Yeah.
That's the only time I really noticed it. And kind of like I said, after I kind of got used to riding it, degrease the chain, put regular
some
chain
stuff
lube
probably
on it.
broke in a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah, and also initially the bearing on that pulley wheel was pretty stiff, and it spins much more freely now. But those are really the only downsides. And on the ups, it like you're kind of saying, it absolutely eats chunk rocks and roots. There's no tomorrow.
Stable.
It eats for a 130 mil travel bike. It felt like it had so much more travel going down that. I felt
it looked like it.
I felt no limitations at all, which it was just pushing
punches pretty hard above its weight.
It totally does. But it still, kind of maneuvers and is nimble and, movable like a trail bike, which is awesome.
Nice.
But yeah, speaking of high pivot, high pivot everything, we had Nico on the show several episodes back, episode 91. So if you're very curious and going a deep dive on high pivot stuff, that is an excellent episode to check out. And we're going to have that in the show notes as well. Link to that episode.
Link to that episode in the show notes.
Link to the episode in show notes.
Yeah, Nico is a very qualified person to talk about that because he's just a professional mountain biker, suspension nerd and guru, and also literally created 2 identical bikes of his own, one being high pivot and one not, tested them back to back. It's
Yep.
like,
And he landed
don't get many people with more credentials to talk on the topic than that.
He landed on a almost mid pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So he liked it a little higher, but not full high pivot. So interesting.
Mid-thick.
Mid high.
These grips are mid-thick.
Mid-thick.
He did ask the question, so far I'm considering a carbon patrol or insurgent.
Isn't it Insurgent 27.5?
Yes. Well, they might make a mullet one.
Patrol or
Personally,
Insurgent?
Bellingham, isn't most of the riding pedal up fire roads and then ride down gnarly steep stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of those 2 bikes, I probably lean patrol, as I think the suspension action would work better on the super steep stuff that Bellingham has. Mm-hmm. But another bike you might want to consider would be a Forbidden Dreadnought in the mullet setup with a Ziggy link.
Nice. Yeah, you can also get Druid and mullet too. Huh?
Yeah, but he's talking about some bigger travel bikes.
Yeah, I see where this guy's going. He is riding in Bellingham, and these are brands that are from Bellingham.
Just love brands.
Those are
local.
But Forbidden is not too far away.
That's true. Forbidden is not too far away.
Up and over the border.
In fact, you could take a little ferry over there. Vancouver Island.
Across the pond.
Across the little pond.
How is there a bike company on Vancouver Island?
Gosh.
Isn't there more than one, too?
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Just seems funny.
Well, the riding is...
There is riding there. That's
certainly, caters to, designing a bike like the Druid, right?
True.
Absolutely loves Rocky.
I guess you can sit on your CAD software and design a bike from anywhere.
You sure can.
Anywhere.
You can make a good one.
Right? They're making bikes in freaking Kamloops. We are one, right?
Yeah, they're manufacturing them there, actually.
That's
that is
badass.
cool.
Yeah.
So there you go. You can do just about anything you want, anywhere you want.
I think I'm going to buy Forbidden.
Do it.
Custom paint it.
Do it. Do it. Nice. Sweet. How about the next question? The woods up here in the Northeast have been soaked with rain and extra swampy this year, so some of us have been throwing in road rides for fitness and to get a little more airflow over our sweaty selves. With Liam being the Renaissance man across all disciplines, I'd love to hear a little more about his setup and how he uses road riding to cross-train for mountain biking.
Well, I assume he's talking about like actual road rides, like on a road bike and not just like riding his mountain bike on the road.
Yeah, I think so.
That's kind of what I got from that.
Yeah, considering he's talking about different disciplines.
Yeah. It kind of all depends, but just riding a road bike like once a week does so much for your mountain biking.
Yeah.
You're able to like constantly pedal and get that kind of muscle memory, base miles. It's super easy to stay in zone 2, zone 3, heart rate zones, power zones.
Just zone training in general is possible.
Yeah.
You can't really do that on a mountain bike that easily. Like, you might be able to, back off or go hard, but like sometimes there's a point where you have to be in zone 4 to get up a single track climb. Like
Yep.
it's the
You could probably do
way
good
it
zone
is.
training on a mountain bike in Kansas.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
And at that point, you might as well just have a gravel bike with 45s. That's kind of what I, basically what I would do is just, do a bit more zone training, stay in that zone 2, zone 3, and just do, we call it LSD, long sustained distance. It was kind of like the name of the game when I was training. And then, I don't know, it depends depending on what kind of like riding you're doing, you can gear those rides towards it as well.
Yeah.
On the road bike though, find some hills, find some repeats, or where you lack, right? Like maybe you could do a lot of climbing and don't cramp, and maybe you clamp on really, long rides that have more flat terrain. So ride the road bike on more flat stuff and, just kind of do it like that.
Yeah.
Or you could do it the way Jared does, and he picks a delicious restaurant 50 miles away. And that's his motivation to ride the road bike there.
And you're thinking about it the whole
Eat the
time.
food.
Eat the
He actually
food.
picks it more
ride
like
home.
80 miles away, does like a loop around,
Yeah.
meanders over there, and then has his girlfriend meet him there.
Yeah.
And then
He's
they-
so
and then
excited
they
about
have
the
food.
food.
I love making it a event, an occasion, you know. But
Good
your
way to
setup,
spend a weekend.
you have a gravel bike that
Yeah.
you have multiple wheel sets.
Yep, I have a open
Yeah, it's not even a
wide.
technical road bike. Yeah,
No,
just
it's an
gravel
open
bike.
wide right now, which is a gravel bike. It is a more, what'd you say? Conservative gravel bike compared to where some going these days. I definitely have it set up very much like a road bike. I have 2 wheel sets. I have NV, what are they? AG25s, I think.
AG? That sounds
AG?
right.
AG25s. For my gravel wheels with some usually Maxxis Rambler 45s that live on there. And then my road wheels are the NV Foundation 45s that I run a Gravel King 35 slick on there. So that's kind of what I use for like road stuff. So, yeah, I never ride anything smaller than 35 and I ride just fine in groups. Those are my setups.
Nice.
All 1x12.
1x12.
1x12, yes.
Cool.
Eagle.
You have an open too, don't you?
I have an open up.
Open up.
Open up, and
What's the
I've
difference between the
got
open up and the open wide?
One's
clearance.
wider clearance than the up.
So you have more of a road bike that you ride to the brewery.
Mine,
Still a gravel bike anyway, though.
Mine fits 45s. His fits 40s. Mine is like 1 degree slacker head tube angle and a touch lower bottom bracket. And those are all the differences.
Yeah. I have Easton, oh my gosh, EC90 carbon wheels with the Vault hubs and the Panaracer Gravel King 38s,
38, maybe, yeah.
which are kind of like 40s.
I have a Revel Rover frame that I haven't built up.
Yeah.
do.
I need to get on that.
And we will.
I'm going to send myself an emo right now.
I wonder how many rides I'll get on that before I just say I'm over drop bars.
Make it a demo bike or put flat bars on it.
I just can't ride drop bars. I just don't want to ride.
You never
road.
even done it, though, is the thing.
You should build it up and you should do NOSCO with us.
Ooh.
No, not gonna do that.
You won't. Come on.
No, not even gonna.
No, you're such
I'm gonna
a wuss.
patronize
Not
you
even
and tell you I'm gonna
gonna
do that.
entertain
Just have-
that
I have
idea.
no interest in doing a ride like that.
Oh,
A bunch of people and not
You love to
interested.
test yourself physically.
I don't want to ride road bikes around like that. It doesn't
Yeah, it's-
sound fun at all.
And it's for a good cause.
It is fun.
I'll run it, dude.
It's
You'll
so
run
fun.
it 80 miles, 8,000 feet.
No, I'll do dirt Nosco. That I'd do any day.
I think you would genuinely enjoy ripping down a descent like Yerba Buena
Yeah,
when
sure.
no cars are on the road. And
I'm interested in dirt Nosco. How did that one work again? That was like the Backbone Trail.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't think we ended up doing it, though.
It was unofficial though.
Yeah, of course it was unofficial. We were just going to like start with Nosco and then peel off and hit a bunch of like fire roads and single tracks.
But other
that-
people did it though, didn't they?
Yeah. Dave Zabriskie and Robbie, I think, did it.
So that's appealing. I'll do dirt Nosco.
Yeah.
Oh, sick. There you go. That pretty much answered that question, didn't it?
Yep.
Now let's talk about jockey wheels,
Oh.
or also known as pulley wheels.
There you go.
Or pulleys.
You'd be a good jockey, Jeff.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Dude, no. Okay. Somebody told me that before. Somebody told me that, and I was like,
They're like 5'3".
they're tiny.
Yeah.
They're like 110 pounds.
Yeah.
Someone told me that, and I was like, really? Yeah, I could race horses. And I like look up jockeys, and I was like, I'm way too big.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
like double the size of a jockey.
Yeah.
They're
Doubles-
like 5'2"
doubles
and 110
exaggerating.
pounds.
But they are small people.
Just get a little bigger horse.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And why do they call them jockey wheels?
Oh.
I have no clue
to
why
bring
they
it full
call them
circle.
jockey wheels.
Right?
That's the question. I'll Google
So
that.
the question is, I was wondering why stock SRAM or Shimano derailleurs from Dior to XTR, from SX to XX1. The jockey wheels are made of nylon plastic material, but aftermarket jockey wheels are CNC'd or so. Is there a reason for it to be not alloy except for weight? I think mainly it's probably for a little forgiveness, and also they run much quieter being nylon than they do metal.
Interesting.
Some old SRAM, what was that? Like maybe OG 9-speed SRAM X9, XO stuff had metal wheels on it.
Oh yeah, at some point.
Yeah, OG like first generation SRAM mountain bike stuff.
But it's louder.
Yeah, it runs louder. I've put some metal ones on my bikes or on Jeff's bikes.
Yeah, you can just kind of hear it when you're pedaling.
You can hear it.
Yeah. They do look cool.
Like those huge ceramic speed ones.
Yeah, I put some of those on one of my gravel bikes once. But those are so big you don't hear the noise because they're bigger.
That makes sense.
And the bearing is so smooth.
Ooh.
Smooth.
Honestly, I don't really know for that, but my only guess would be for noise and or it is a light.
It's just got to be cost.
Yeah.
And it's cost, and it's
you're not getting any more performance. If anything, you could argue less performance because of the noise, but you're not really getting more performance, and it's just more expensive.
yeah.
But it is a great stylish upgrade
It's
to get
definitely
some anodized
baller
alloy
points, yeah.
pulley wheels. Yeah.
Pretty
and,
sweet.
and it's a wearable part, so you know you are gonna have to replace them. It is cheaper to replace nylon than it is CNC'd metal.
Yeah, probably 1/6 the cost.
Yeah.
Check this out. The name Jockey Wheel comes from the similarity between the placement of the wheel on a trailer and the position of a rider on a horse. The wheel is designed to jockey or guide the movement of trailers. It allows you to position your trailer so it can be lifted and lowered onto a tow bar. Most jockey wheels can be stowed away securely to hide while the vehicle is moving. So I guess the original jockey wheel is that little...
And the little crank thing.
The crank
yeah,
on
it has
the
a crank
trailer.
right above it, yeah. And then it says after that, jockey wheels are also the little cogs on a rear derailleur of a bicycle. They are known collectively as jockey wheels or jockey pulleys. The guide pulley is at the top part, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So
I guess that's where it originated from. And then they got called that on the bicycle, jockey wheels.
go figure.
Well, jockey
Go
wheels,
figure.
pulley wheels, definitely more called pulley wheels these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that many people call them jockey wheels or just pulley wheels. I don't even know if it says jockey wheel on any of the product
I don't
listings on all
think
of our
it
sites. It
does
just
at
all says
all.
pulley wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackie.
Jackie.
How about this one, Jeff? You're going to love this. My trusty Garmin Forerunner 235 recently died on me, and I've been enjoying some trackless laps as well as getting rid of a horrific watch tan. There's a lot of options on the market, and I was wondering if you guys go through what you have and what you like or don't like, as well as any opinions on any other watch or computer candidates you would entertain for mountain biking, running, and hiking.
Well, this is right up Jeff's alley.
You're right up Jeff's alley.
I'm a big Garmin watch fan. I think they make the only problem with Garmin watches is they make too many watches, and then you can end up in full-blown decision paralysis to figure out which ones to get.
I wouldn't even do the research. I just asked Jeff. I go, hey, which one should I get? He goes, you want to buy mine?
It mostly boils down to price point. Like if you're willing to spend $1,000, get the Phoenix series. It's the flagship series Garmin watch, and it does all the things. If you're not willing to spend that, then the Forerunner series is kind of the next best thing. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit more tailored towards running / triathlete, so it still has all the cycling features. But then, of course, there's like this guy, the 235, which was missing a ton of features when you compare it to the higher end Forerunners.
And even now it'd be a 255, which should probably have a ton more features than that.
Yeah, so it does just kind of depend on price point for the most part and what other activities you do. I have the Phoenix 7S Solar Sapphire. How about that for a product name? How about that for a product
Phoenix
name?
7S Solar Sapphire.
Solar Sapphire.
Sounds like a 5-gum commercial.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Or like a Marvel character.
Yeah, that is what it sounds like. I just love Garmin watches. I think they're so incredible, not only with the GPS technology and tracking all of your rides and all of your activities and basically everything you do, from a workout in the gym to trail running, hiking, snowboarding, skiing, mountain biking, motocross, like 4x4, like you can use it for anything. It's really cool and track all of that. And then it also tracks all of your sleep, your heart rate, all that. The battery lasts 2 weeks. So they're just incredible watches. They just do so much. So I don't really think anyone has a leg on them at all, unless you prefer a miniature iPhone on your wrist. Then of course the Apple Watch is the way to go. And the Apple Watch Ultra is like some better GPS tracking and stuff, but it's still just a little mini iPhone on your wrist. And the battery lasts a day and a half. So it's like, it's just, I don't know, not the thing. So I don't know. I'm a massive fan of Garmin. I have the Phoenix, and yeah, you guys both have Forerunners.
Yep. Forerunner 945 LTE.
Yeah, and then you have a
955, I thought.
45.
Oh.
I got mine right before the 55 came out.
Oh, I have a 945 as well. Mine's
Yeah.
just non-LTE.
not the LTE one.
Yeah. The only thing I wish it had was a specific downhill biking activity.
Yeah, that's still a hole in the line. So there's not a bike park activity. There was rumors of it. It was in some beta or something, but it still doesn't exist on there.
Really? I thought it was on only a couple of watches.
I don't remember. I'd have to look back into it. But
I don't think it's on anything.
The cheat with that is you can run a snowboard or a skiing activity because it has, on the higher end watches, it has those activities. It has all of the resort maps built into it, so it knows when you're on the lift, and then it doesn't count the lift as elevation gain because it knows you're on the lift. And then it tells you how many runs you did. It's all figured out.
Does it count any elevation gain now, or does it just take basically all elevation gain out of the activity?
It'll count elevation gain if you're not on the lift.
Gotcha.
So, like, for example, last winter in Park City, I was running a snowboarding activity while snowboarding, and then we did some stuff where we hiked up some big thing and did some shoot, and it counted all that. Yeah.
Cool.
So it does work like that, and you can use the snowboard activity at the bike park in the summer, and it works perfect, and then you just change the activity name and type later. But yeah, it should have a bike park activity. And
that's what I did at Whistler, the snowboard activity.
And it worked?
And it worked, yeah. I was just, like, I didn't want to do it when we were in Italy because...
See, that's the weird case where I don't know if it would work because we weren't necessarily just going up the lift and then down the lift and up the lift and down the lift. We were going like up a lift and then we would traverse for 10 miles and then we'd go up another one. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if it would work in that case. And I wasn't willing to test it. So I was just pausing mine every time we got on a lift. Yeah.
And see, I wasn't doing that because I have a tendency to forget to resume it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to let it run and then just,
I think
go for an Everest every day.
Go for an Everest every day.
The 5 or 6 days of riding, I forgot 2 or 3 times to start it or stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good
for considering we did like 30 lifts.
Yeah, pretty good ratio.
Yeah, it's pretty much the last thing, which is a niche market, but the last thing they really need is to make a mountain bike activity that excludes lifts.
Yeah.
And if it has the lifts mapped in there and or it can recognize with the software that you're on a lift, it should just know how to exclude that.
Garmin, are you listening?
You better listen to this, Garmin.
Listen.
They're in Kansas City.
Listen.
But yeah, I'm a huge fan of Garmin watches. I just think they're the best thing all around. There's some other cool products out there. Again, Apple Watch works if you make phone calls and text messages and do that stuff, and you want a little iPhone on your wrist, but otherwise it's not even comparable.
Isn't there another like GPS?
There's
watch
Suunto
brand?
and Coros
Suunto.
are the other two cool brands. Yeah, Suunto used to be ahead of Garmin. Like years ago, I had a Suunto Ambit 2, and they had a better watch than Garmin, like by a lot. But they kind of just fell off, and they got sold to some Excel partners and like big private equity firm, and still have good products, but they're way more focused on Europe because it's a Finnish company and that's their target market.
Interesting.
So, and they just lost. Like they lost competitiveness. Like they just don't have the same amount of features and models and sizes and all those other things that Garmin has right now. So
nice.
I don't know. That's my shtick.
There you go.
If you want to talk more about it, just DM me on Instagram. I'll send you back 5 minutes worth of voice messages. Nice. But yeah, it is hard to figure out which Garmin watch to get, but you pretty much can't go wrong with the Forerunner or Phoenix.
Nice.
And then just spend more if you want more features if you need them.
Nice. Well, Jeff, you are going to love answering this next one too because you have all the intel. Can you provide some advice on how a first-time attendee can best enjoy going to the 2023 Snowshoe World Cup downhill race? For example, the best area to watch the race, whether it's better to move around the track, what to check out other than the actual races, training, the pits, etc., non-racing activities, and any other tips. Thanks.
So I went there last year, and it was a ton of fun. It's a great race to spectate at. There was a ton of crazy fans, and it was wild and awesome. Snowshoe is very backwards in the sense that the top of the race is where the pits are and where the whole resort is, and it kind of goes down into this empty valley, and then they all take the lift back up. Yeah, it's super weird. I've never really been to a race like that other than Snowshoe. So this is a really good question. I think the way to do it, so the way we did it was from the top, during practice, we walked down the track, I don't know, a third of the way, and then back up the track. Because everything's at the top. All the restaurants, all the lodging, 100% of everything is at the top. The only thing that's not there is the finish, obviously. But on race day, we went during the women's finals. We took the lift to the bottom, and the plan was to basically walk up the track the whole way. And it's usually a bit muddy and steep in spots, but you can do it, and it's a ton of fun. And then you can go to all the cool spots. There's a really awesome rock garden about 7/8 the way down the track, which is a great spectating spot.
Gnarly.
Yeah, and then there's all these other good spots as you make your way back towards the top. So we just hiked all the way up the track during the finals, which was great. So I'd recommend doing that if you really want to watch all the different sections of the track and whatnot. A lot of people just hang out at the bottom of every World Cup because there you have a big live TV board there and you can watch it, but you can't really see anything other than the last like 200 feet. So, there you go. The other problem
at the bottom for the last couple of riders, or
the problem with being at the bottom for the last couple of riders is a lot of people do that, and there's only one way back up, and it's that lift.
Oh, and then
so
you're
there's
down there
this
for
like
a while.
hour or 2 hour lift back line to just get on the lift, go back to the whole main resort, or you got to walk up the course basically in silence and no one on the course. So it's not the best race for spectating in that sense, but that's the way I did it. We went down there during the women's finals and then hiked our way back up the course. So you're going this year, right, Liam?
Yeah. I just need to basically book a flight and figure out the last bit of details, but I am going to be there and it'll be fun.
Yep. All right. Well, if you go there this year, look for Liam. He'll be there.
Look for me.
Nice.
Ask him a brake pad question. Say, hi, are you Liam? Can I ask you a question about my MTX brake pads?
Maybe buy me a beer.
Dude, there was that race, there was so many people drinking and partying, and there was a whole group of people dressed up as Oompa Loompas with drums and trumpets, and it was out of control. It was so much fun. It was such an awesome, and that's also what was cool about hiking up the track during the finals, is that you got to see all of that shenanigans. It was really fun. So that is, I mean, I think every World Cup is awesome to go and spectate and see, because you don't realize how fast those racers are going until you see it in real life, and it's mind-blowing. It's really cool. It also rains there a bit, so make sure to bring yourself a little umbrella and a rain shell. But it's going to be the summer, so you'll be warm. Summer is fall, late summer. So it'll be nice.
Well, I think technically it is fall.
Yeah, by the time that races, when is it race this year?
It's like two
End
weeks
of this
from now.
month, right? Yeah. Nice.
I
It'll be nice out there.
I got booked flights.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area. Really cool resort.
West Virginia.
Take me home.
Take me home. Country road.
Well, that's it. That's all for this episode. Thank you very much for listening.
Do
we have our previous
episode.
Oh,
notes?
we also forgot our fun fact.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
The
we're running out
fun
of time.
fact of the episode: lobsters never stop growing.
That's Daniel's fun
That's
fact
Daniel's
of the
fun
week.
fact of the week. They never stop growing, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we can hit this one real quick. How much time do we have, Jeff?
Minute and a half.
Minute and a half.
Oh, God.
All right. Last episode, we had Trevor on. He had an SB140 with 2 wheel sets, a lightweight bird setup and a more burly downhill-oriented setup. Said he runs heavy-duty casing tires on some sort of DT Swiss wheels, so it makes a huge difference downhill purposes. Why is that? Why not run burlier bird wheel setup with double-down casing and still save some weight? Essentially, there's just a point to where having a steel spoke and a stronger rim, stronger setup is just more confidence inspiring in rock gardens over the bird setup. Mm-hmm. I think there's a point where you're going to push the birds a little too hard if you're doing proper hard enduro riding. Mm-hmm. And that's why I keep light casing on the birds, run thick casings on some DT Swiss. I think he has 511s front and rear. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, thank you for everyone who gave Trevor positive comments. It was
yeah.
awesome that he filled in on that last episode, and he'll be on yet again, filling in for Liam later this month. So if you have any specific Trevor questions, send them over to podcast@worldwidecyclery.com.
Boom.
Also, if you give us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and screenshot it and email that screenshot to podcast@worldwidecyclery.com, Jared will give you a little special surprise.
That's right.
Jared's special surprise.
Jared's special surprise.
Jared's special surprise, also known as a $10 gift card or something.
$15 gift card.
$15. But the reviews, we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you
pretty
to
funny.
everyone.
If Jeff was really a weight weenie, there would be a sort option on the website, lightest to heaviest.
trust me, I've 110% thought about that and wish we had that. But the amount of data that you would need to make that work would be astronomical. And It's if everyone was a weight weenie, we would take the time to do that, but they aren't. So we're not going to try and get an accurate weight on 18,000 products. We don't have the weight data on all those products, but one day if we do, I will absolutely have that filter.
Nice.
All right.
That's it. That's all. Thank you very much. Talk to you guys in the next one.
Love ya.